Hopefully you are already into week four and finding it much shorter than week three. Based on your comments, everyone appreciated the extended time for week three. Um, that being said, I did want to take a few minutes to respond to some questions. This first one, um, someone asked about standard deviation. So hopefully the video that I posted to the start of week four, I actually saw this question before I posted week four, so I was able to kind of insert that already. If you still have questions about that, please just email me or put it in week four's exit ticket. This question about getting people on board, is definitely really situation dependent. So if you're a teacher or a coach in your building, think about, if you didn't use your own data for the project, that perhaps you want to share the project with your principal as a start, or if you're in a high school or middle school, maybe you want to start with a department chair. And most principals will see that as, if they're not currently doing something like that, would value the initiative of the teacher. That's one way to start the conversation. Even if it's just as a grade level, you start looking at data this way and you start sharing with your administrator how you're making progress for your students. They may be interested in replicating that. I do know a student in the last class actually. Their school, I think they were buying the DataWise book for several of their either administrators or teachers, and she actually gave a presentation to administrators at the district level based on the project that she did in class. I think the more, as much as we're kind of in this 5 week bubble, I would encourage you to take the project outside of the class. That's one of the reasons why I um, selected the projects that I did, because they're actually things that you could use in your own position. So for exact timeline when test results are received, so today is June 23rd, and the results for PSSAs at the state came in yesterday. Um, so typically sometime late June, early July is when we get our scores back. And then over the summer, typically whoever's working works with the data so that we can turn it around. You can imagine that since I'm familiar with manipulating Excel, instead of waiting for my coaches to come back in September, I try to get a start on that data before, and so that they can, get started on working with their faculty on, those questions and, coming up with goals for the year. Um, so knowing that some of you may or may not have had experience with the data, it's one of the reasons why I kind of gave so much time in class to work with the data and to look at some of the materials from PDE and the assessment overviews. And certainly that's something that beyond the course you may want to spend more time on. You have access to all those links. Most of them are public. And I've encouraged you to seek out opportunities to, go to your principal and say, hey, can I work with our school's data to try to make sense of it? The more you do it, the easier that it will come. Um, and I think that kind of really addresses the last two comments in this section. I did want to take a moment just to go to, and hopefully my internet's working here. Um, let's see, on the assignment page. Now that you're done the two biggest assignments, your next one is this newsletter, digital newsletter project, where you will develop a newsletter um, that is based on, you know, an audience. So you are going to identify the audience, and it's more desirable for you to kind of think about the parent and school community. We haven't really addressed that in the last two assignments, which were focused on the classroom and the administrators and the school board and the faculty. Think about something that's important to communicate to that audience. You're probably going to want to be thinking about, that assessment and interpretation project that you did for week 3. And for those at this point, everyone who submitted it has it graded. So that way you can go look at that data and think about what would be important to communicate to the community, and really think about that audience as really in mind. When you're doing that, you're not talking to educators, you're talking to parents and community members. You want to think about a digital platform to use. There's lots of digital newsletters out there. You could create a website, a Weebly. You could create an iMovie. You name it. Um, and then create a presentation. Using that interpretation assignment, and think about what's included in that. Results, our goals, next steps, and how could they be a part of that. Then you'll just post that link to that right in the D2L folder. And there is a rubric here for you, so you can see what the newsletter is being graded on D2L. So hopefully that helps. One last note, if you're watching this during week 4, I just want to let you know that if you go to the home page, you will see that the link for week 5 is live. I'm not expecting you to start it early, but I know some of you are anxious to do as much as you can so that there's not much left at the end. And so when you go to week 5 and scroll down to the end, it will come, you'll see that the information for the final is here. And so you know what the expectations are for the final because that's on the assignment page. But here you'll note that there's a case study that you're going to read and write a 1-page response based on the final exam corrections and rubric. There is a case study for you to read here that might help you frame how you want to respond to that final for the assignment. And I'm really going to push you to be concise and to keep it to 1 page. Think about what, you're not going to be able to address everything, but what's the most important thing, and write that kind of concise response um, for your project. And if you have questions, obviously just let me know. Most of you have been, reaching out, submitting things, asking if you're on the right track. The timeline for the final, if you want to start it early, then yeah, I'm going to be able to give you some feedback on that ahead of time. But if you're just going to do it on the 30th, then I'm obviously not going to have the opportunity to do that. So, so that being said, hopefully week 4 goes well for you, and you'll let me know what questions you have, and I'll post them to week 5.